Hello and welcome back to Around the Block. Hope you're all doing well today and you're looking forward to another episode where we are changing the schedule just a little bit because it's the eternal derby today. We're playing against Red Star Belgrade. They beat us last season. We need to go and get our retribution and revenge against them today. Following that game, we've also got a Europa League game against Sporting as well, which should be quite good fun. The initial plan for today's episode was, of course, to play these four games: Sporting, Metalat, Radnik and Spartak. But then this Serbian Cup second round game sort of got in the way of all of that. And then I realised, we're playing Red Star just before Sporting as well. So it made a bit more sense to do that. We'll come back episode after that to do Spartak, Vojvodina, Stade Rennais, and then maybe Sporting, should we need to do that in an episode after that as well. So that's a sort of roadmap for the next couple of episodes for this week. Since you guys were last here for the very higgledy-piggledy episode where we played alternate games essentially to get through all our Champions League qualification games that missed out all the league games, we've played 5 games in total and we've won 5 games. We started off with a 1-0 win over Mladost with Thaddeus Igalo getting the goal in that game to give us the 3 points. Followed up with a game against Radniki, 3-0 in that particular game. Filip Asimovic getting the goal alongside Hammerberger and Thaddeus Igalo once again. We then had a really impressive 3-0 win over Stade Rennais. I think I always overestimate them because there's been a few times where we've had group stage games against Stade Rennais and I've always been like, they'll be a good side, and then we always batter them completely. So I think I overestimate them quite a bit, and it showed in this game as we battered them 3-0. Lukovic with 1, Igalo with the other, and Milo with the final goal in the first half. We followed that one up with a 4-0 win over Spartak. Milo with 1 goal, Isakovic with another 2 goals, and Asimovic with a goal right towards the end of that game. Before we had a 5-0 thrashing of a team in a few leagues below us in the Cup. We rotated the lineup quite heavily in this one to keep players rested for the Red Star game, so lots of different players scoring goals in that one. It was almost a perfect sequence. If only we'd beaten Radniki 2-0 rather than 3-0, 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, 4-0, 5-0. Red Star 6-0, you never know. In terms of the league table, we are at the top still. After 9 games, we're already 6 points clear, which is pretty good going, I must say. And we've actually considered 2 league goals all season as well. So if we keep this up, we're going to be less than 10 goals conceded this season, which would be absolutely mental. Obviously, the league looks like it's going to be pretty easy. So I think really what we should be doing at Partizan is focusing on European football more than league football in the episodes at least. But we'll talk about European football once we get through this game against Red Star. So the lineup for this game should be the lineup that you're getting to know and love. Alimi in goal as per usual, with a backline of Harish Buncevic, Hammerberger, Hendrik and Stefan, with a midfield duo of Asimovic and Isakovic, making sure they're holding midfield quite nicely. Jezovic, Nikolic and Milo in the attacking midfield, and of course Thaddeus Igalo, up to 13 goals for the season already, starts up front. So then kickoff is upon us at another eternal derby between the two sides from Belgrade. This time we're at home. I'm not sure if we're at home this time last season when we lost to them, but it was a bad defeat last time. It was only like 1-0 or 2-0 or 2-1 maybe. It was only like 1 or 2 goals in it, but we didn't win the game, and that's not acceptable for us Partizan fans as we come very close there. Good save there from the Partizan goalkeeper, but it's a nice indication that we're having some good chances early on. Let's get this league table a little bigger as well. That's another good save from the corner. Red Star themselves have picked things up a little bit. They're up to, 4th as it is right now. Kukuric is winning their games. They've overtaken Red Star, but they were right down in 8th, I think, when we saw them last time at the end of last episode. So they've won a couple games since then, but hopefully today they'll lose this one as Jezovic can't quite get it on target. They do have a bit of a tough season though, I must say, as we've just scored the opening goal of the game. You love to see it. Jezovic from the corner. Red Star, as I'm about to say, do have a little bit of a tough season. They've got Europa Conference League football, so they've got a big congested fixture list there as Jezovic wins the header from the near post. So they're in European football as well, Red Star, but not quite the Europa League like we are. Europa Conference League for them, as well as Vojvodina. They've also got to the Europa Conference League. So hopefully we'll see those two clubs do well and try and get to the later stage of that. Maybe even sneak in a win. I reckon that Red Star wouldn't have the quality to be able to win. I reckon they could do it if they really put their mind to it and played well in all those games. So hopefully they do, because that would be very good for Serbian football as a whole. But with only about 5 minutes or so to go in this first half, another chance from a corner. We've been dangerous from corners and set pieces, and that was very, very close to going in the back of a net there. But a good save from the Red Star keeper. We do go into the break 1-0 up though, with a dominating set of stats on our hand. I wasn't quite sure I was going with that sentence, but it came out like that. Unfortunately, I think we've just seen Jezovic pick up a knock. He always is getting a few injuries, which isn't great. And Red Star, surely that's miles offside. Has to be miles offside that, and it doesn't need to go to VAR. I don't think so. It's not gone to VAR because it has just been disallowed for offside. We've got a chance on the other end of the pitch to grab a second goal. Isakovic into Jezovic, who has got a little bit of a knock on him. I think we'll take him off just to rest him up nicely, as Lukovic will come on. When he does play, Lukovic does actually like to bag a couple goals or so he's actually pretty decent as a bit of a backup. Jez, if only he just wasn't so injured all the time, that would be quite nice. As Nikolic, corner into the middle, Thaddeus can't quite reach it, but we do retain possession as the corner, the cross comes back in, headed over the bar by Thaddeus. We just need someone a bit better at heading. What is Thaddeus's heading rating? Heading 12, it's not that bad to be fair, and he's 6'2", so really he should be a bit better at heading, I must say. We can obviously train him up like that, train to get a little bit better with his heading. But how many corners we're having, how many crosses we're getting, they go over the bar consistently. We need to do something a bit better with that. Harej Buncevic is looking tired, so we have to bring on the other Asimovic, Nihad Asimovic. He's going to come on there, and I think that might be just how we leave it. Although Thaddeus not playing brilliantly, let's give Kristic a go out there. They're the 3 subs that we're going to make, as not a corner coming through just there. Come on, lads. We need to get another goal. We do this too often. Now, obviously, in the last few games, you've seen us win 3-0, 3-0, 4-0, 5-0. But before that, we were winning games 1-0 despite having like 30 shots or so. We need to finish games off a little stronger by getting more goals in them to finish the teams off. And that was a perfect example of what we've not been doing. We keep putting the ball wide, not putting it in the back of a net in those kind of situations. Luckily for us, as the clock ticks down to the final few minutes, I think we're about to come away with the victory as Stefan puts another cross in the middle and it's gone over again. You hate to see it. By looks of things though, other teams around us aren't winning, so we're about to go 8 points clear at the top of the table, which you love to see. Well, you love to see it because obviously we're winning the league title, but I'd like it to be a bit more competitive for us. I'd like us to be really battling with a Red Star or a Vojvodina, who are down in 13th right now after coming runners-up last season. I really want that to happen, but right now it's not happening, and I'm not the type of person to throw games in the interest of competition. So if we win the league title by January, that's absolutely fine by me. It means I don't have to do much work, does it, I suppose? But this highlight is still going on. I'm not quite sure what's going to happen at the end of it. It's like one of those highlights that's so long there has to be a goal come the end of it. If it's this long, surely it's going to be a goal, as Asimovic to put the ball in the middle can't do it. The other Asimovic plays it into Hammerberger, and okay, fair enough, doesn't matter. We won the game 1-0, very happy with that one. A good win in the Eternal Derby. The fans will be happy with that one, so I'm pleased. So there we go then, 8 points clear at the top of the table, still only 2 goals conceded, 0 games lost, and we're a third of the way through the prelim part of the season, which is amazing. Jez is only out for 1 to 2 days, which is okay. He can play for the Sporting game. What we will do in that time is, of course, rest these players up so they are fit enough to play for the next game. And now, of course, this moves us on to the European football side of things, and a little few things we should probably talk about with European football. There are more and more Eastern European sides creeping their way into the Champions League group stage. We've got Dinamo beating Barcelona there, as you can see, in their first game of the Champions League to go top of their group. Slovan Bratislava are a regular feature in the Champions League group stage. They've been there a couple times, I believe, or a few times, I should say. Krasnodar are there, Zenit are there, Dinamo Kiev are there, Legia Warsaw, of course, the team that beat us, they are there as well. Copenhagen, they're not Eastern European, but they're there. Victoria Plzeň are there. And to be fair, it's good. It's good for this particular save file because that means that the Eastern European sides are getting much better. In terms of the Europa League, we've got teams like Pushkas, Lechia, this team from, is this Slovenia? Croatia. I knew that, obviously. Ferrovara there as well, Ludogorets, Peripherals, Sarajevo, Akhmat are there. There's so many Sparta Prague, of course, we're there as well alongside Spartak Moscow. Loads of Eastern European clubs in this one, so it's looking really good. But obviously, as we saw through a transfer window, we are a little limited with who we can bring in because of our reputation and other Eastern European divisions and sides having a better reputation than us. It's making me think that I need to keep an eye out on the job front already for like the next sort of stage, because the jobs that I'm starting to think that I might want aren't going to come up very often. As you can see, Serbia, 15th most reputable league in all of Europe. We've got leagues, in fact, we get the whole list up, we can see it properly here. So we're here 15th. We've got teams like Romania, or countries like Romania, Croatia, Hungary, Czech Republic, Ukraine, all ahead of us. So I think, ideally, I want my next job to be in either Croatia or the Czech Republic, specifically Sparta Prague, Dinamo, Slavia Prague, Victoria Plzeň, Hajduk Split, for example. One of those clubs is what I want. But obviously, there are teams that are consistently at the top end of their tables, and their managers won't change that often. So we've got to be really, really looking at this constantly to see if suddenly their manager gets sacked. Unless there is, of course, a way where you get notifications if a manager of a particular team gets sacked, but I'm not entirely sure if there is a way to do that. So it's just more keeping an eye on this. Obviously, we can look at the job centre for some other top jobs, like the top job in Poland, like Legia Warsaw, for example, that beat us in the Champions League. That might be a good job to go to, or a top Ukrainian side. But for now, I think I want my next target to be a top Croatian or Czech Republic side. Now, as I say, that probably is going to be a while away. It might be another season and a half away or something like that. We've got to wait for their managers to either leave or be sacked. But it's going to happen at some point, surely, and we've got to be ready for it. In a weird sort of way, I already feel like I have accomplished everything we possibly can do in Serbia because we just got very lucky taking over the club. We've got the Serbian Super League to our name. We've got the Serbian Cup to our name. And I feel like we have cheated a little bit in doing that because we got there and did it. Finished off someone else's job, essentially. But if we can do it again this season, and like say we've done that outright ourselves, I think we can tick Serbia off the list pretty easily. And I think after that we start to look towards other European jobs. But Dinamo also pulling out a 2-2 draw there with Manchester United. Dinamo, if we could go there, that could be a class club to go to. Probably worth seeing, actually. Who did Legia Warsaw get in their Champions League group? Their schedule, they have got in Champions League Group F, Bayern Munich, Porto and Lyon. And they're second in that group right now. If we got through that, I'd back us to get through it. I'd have backed us to get through that. It's actually a little bit annoying that they've got such a nice group and we could have had that ourselves. In the meantime, we've got to do a job against Sporting. And if I'm honest with you, the team's been playing so well, barely conceding goals. I think we just keep things as it is. Just keep going with it. And fingers crossed, the performances, the morale, the team cohesion just carries us through. So as kickoff is upon us here today in Portugal, we do have to be a little wary because Sporting are a decent side. But I mistakenly said we lost to them as the Puskás manager last time. I was looking at the Sporting fixtures, which said they lost to Puskás, not Puskás losing to Sporting. So actually, yes, we did a really good job with Puskás beating and drawing at Sporting a couple of seasons ago. We've got a better team now, and it shows because Thaddeus Igalo scores the opening goal inside of 10 minutes. You love to see it, and if we can get a win against Sporting today, that puts us in a really strong commanding position to get through our Europa League group. I'm not sure if we could win the Europa League with Partizan because there are some really big clubs in it. You've got like your Tottenhams, there's a good few decent Spanish clubs in there as well. In fact, if we have a quick look at the updates after this highlight finishes, it's a free kick coming in from Nikolic. Go on, lad, back of the net. He'd only gone and bloody done it. You love to see it. 2-0 up against Sporting inside of 25 minutes, away from home as well. They've not had a single shot yet. This is a fantastic start as Nikolic's free kick. The keeper was getting nowhere near it. But you've got teams like Atletico Madrid are in here. I mean, Spartak Moscow in our group's very difficult. Valencia's, Schalke's. There are some really big clubs in this, and Fiorentina as well, I suppose, and stuff like that. So there are some big clubs in this. And the Shakhtar Donetsk. There's so many big clubs. So I'm not entirely sure if we got the strength to win it. But I think we can certainly go pretty far in this competition. If we're still at CSK Moscow, I'd probably back us to win it, but we're just not quite as strong as that CSK Moscow side, I don't think, who, by the way, haven't sacked their manager. I had a quick look at this earlier on. Last season, CSK Moscow finished 5th in the table with a good 10 plus points less than what we got for them as Djezdovic scores a third goal for us, which is absolutely fantastic. But the CSK Moscow manager finished 5th, only qualified for the Europa Conference League, didn't get sacked. Did not get sacked, still got his job. So I'm still very, very bitter about that. I still really want to go to Spartak Moscow and like absolutely spank CSK or something like that. That's what I really want to do at some point in this save. But that was an incredible first half, I must say. Partizan 3, Sporting 0, 15 shots to 0 shots, and we're the away team. If we can just get Milo on the score sheet, our front 4 or attacking 4 players are all going to have a goal as well, which is great to see. There's Simovic on the ball. Go on, lad. Into Stefan. Find Milo, or just someone to score a goal. Ideally Milo, though, so they all get a goal, that front attacking 4. Sporting, though, are wanting to come forward. They've had one shot in the game now, looking for their second, but they're not going to get it because Harej Buncevic puts the ball forward to Thaddeus Igalo. Thaddeus makes it 4. 15 for the season for him already. We are unstoppable right now. So Haraj gets the interception nicely, heads it down to Jezovic, and again, HJT, or what will we call them, whatever I've christened them, the Holy Trinity, scoring more goals. I thought we'd give Sporting a good game, but I did not expect this whatsoever. An absolute demolition job. I can't believe it. I'm so happy with it though. Like, I'm not complaining, we'll take it. But everything at the moment does seem just a little bit easy with Partizan, I must say. And I'm kind of missing that bit of a challenge, like a challenge we had at Puskás to actually try and beat Frank Roche in the end. That was a nice challenge that we had. Obviously the challenges at Martin and Naftan to get them promoted and then try and be competitive to avoid relegation. That was quite the challenge. It was also a challenge at CSK Moscow as well, because we had to do the impossible to try and keep our job, and in the end didn't quite work out, but we still managed to get some silverware there. Partizan, it just feels a little bit easy, I must say, which is why I've been thinking about other jobs already. And the ones that I want, they're probably the easier jobs because they're the teams around the top of the division. But they do have a bit of competition around them, and there is quite the significant challenge in European football as well, which I suppose we do have here, but I don't think we're going to get to that challenge until maybe the quarterfinals or maybe the knockout stage at least, definitely. So maybe the quarterfinals if we're lucky or something like that. But for most of this season, it's probably going to be plain sailing, which is why I'm kind of actually quite keen to try and just go through it pretty quickly and just get to the end of it and just focus on the European fixtures. I think the league stuff for you guys might be a bit boring if we just win everything. But as the clock ticks down here, I'm going to make just one or two quick changes just to keep one or two players a little bit more fresh for the upcoming league games. But other than that, we are winning this game 4-0, which is absolutely fantastic. What a great result for us. I think we're going to win our group. I think we're really going to win our group. Spartak picked up a draw with Stade Rennais as well. That helps us out massively too. You love to see it. So as mentioned earlier on, we're going to come back for the Spartak Moscow game, Vojvodina, because they are essentially the third or second best club in the league, even though they are down in 13th right now. That's a big game for us, so we have to win that one. And we'll play those two games, Stade Rennais as well, so you get to see Spartak and Stade Rennais in our group as well. But I think hopefully by then we will be qualified from our groups, and then we can just sort of whiz forward to some more interesting stuff later on down the line. So thank you ever so much for watching today's episode. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. And of course, if you have done, drop a like on the video for me and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. And I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Goodbye.